Episode starts and Cain has to take the entrance exam for the Royal Academy. Sylvia is a little late as she had to wake him up. Therefore, she nervously reaches to the Cain's bedroom and wakes him up. But Cain is so relaxed and he does not think that he will be late to reach the academy. Because he is true and he makes to the Royal Academy in time and straight up goes to the receptionist. He asks Cain's name and watch where is his name in the candidates, guiding Cain to the room number, and he allot him a roll number 2, telling him that he has to take the seat number 10 in room 285, and he sends Cain to the entrance exam. Walking towards his examination room, he thinks that he has not seen any friend's name on the candidates list. When he enters the room, it's already jam-packed with the students. They are so immersed in reading their book that no one notices that he entered. He watches around to see Silk and Telestia, but they are probably in another room. At the same time, the examiner enters the room and asks every student to sit down on their seats. She clearly states the warning that cheating will not be tolerated. Anyone found guilty will lose its right to be a part of exams. Saying this, she puts down the sand timer on the table and asks the students to begin reading their papers. Cain reads the paper and is happy to see that all the questions are from arithmetics and history. He is quite sure that he will attempt all the questions quite easily. Not so much time passed that Cain puts down his head on the table to relax. Watching him, the examiner squints and thinks that he should not take the exam easy, because wasting the time relaxing would only cause trouble for a student. Therefore, she warns Cain that there is not so much time left. But to her amazement, he has already finished his paper. As the time ends, examiner tells everyone to leave their paper on the desks and move towards the next examination spot. Hearing that it's a magic assessment exam, Cain gets so worried. According to the guidance, every student will choose one spot on board hanging on the wall in front of them. Then they will use any type of magic and their powers to hit that spot from the certain distance. Cain watches every student that how they perform it. Every one of them makes a fireball through the magic and throw it at the target area. Cain is the last one to perform the magic, and he already has a strategy in his mind. For that, he takes permission from his teacher that if there is any restriction to use the full force. But hearing that they are allowed any level of power, he uses Inferno and throws a blue fireball towards the target. It hits so badly that not only it breaks the target, it breaks the wall and the trees across it. The fireball goes long way that the organizer if exam runs towards the area across the wall to see if everyone is safe. The teacher is so amazed and annoyed that it's not the beginner level magic and by any means. She passes beside him telling everyone to move towards the swordsmanship area. Cain is sorry for causing so much trouble, but she does not listen. In the swordsmanship area, the examiner announced that students will fight with a top-rank adventurer. Saying this, he introduced Claude to everyone. Watching Claude in front of him, Cain feels so comfortable. But in contrast, Claude is so surprised to see him being a part of such tests, because he has watched the Cain's extraordinary powers. But Cain humbly accepts the compliments and shares that it's his wish to join the academy. Watching that, a student converses with a top warrior. The examiner perceives Claude is interested in fighting Cain. Therefore, he orders Cain to give the exam for swordsmanship first. Since Claude knows Cain's level of expertise, he initially challenges him to warm him up. As the fight begins between them, they attack each other so that other students cannot even see how fast their swords are moving. Bearing each sword strike from Cain, Claude cannot afford to lose the session with Cain. Therefore, he uses the boost to energize himself and attack Cain with greater power. Not only students, but the examiner is also so surprised to see them fighting like experts. Therefore, he stops them and tells Cain that he has assessed his skill and is allowed to go home and wait for the result. Claude enjoyed the combat session with Cain so much. He wants to have another session like this someday and share his thoughts with Cain. Agrees to this and leaves for home. As he opens the door of his home, Sylvia is already eagerly waiting for him in the hall. Cain shares how he attempted every exam quite nicely and is hopeful that he will get admission to the academy. Sylvia trusts his master's skills and wishes him all the best. Suddenly, she senses that her little master Cain must be hungry after such a challenging exam. Therefore, leaving the chit-chat, she rushes towards the kitchen to make food while Cain laughs at her innocence. At the same time, Cain is asked to meet the king in his room. Cain straight up goes to the king, who looks angry and holds a paper in his hand. The report sent from the academy shows that using enormous power, Cain caused so much trouble in the academy. He broke the immediate wall and destroyed the area beneath it that could have put anyone's life in danger. Hearing this, Cain apologized for the mistake. But, unfortunately, he used the powers after getting permission from the examiner. Later, King wants to know why his daughters Telestia and Silk could not find him in the examination room. Suddenly King realized that Cain had made another mistake of the day by entering the examination rooms made for commoners. Initially, he thinks that Cain does not know that the south entrance is for ordinary people while the north door is for the people from the royal family. But Cain knows this, and when Telestia finds that Cain has been with ordinary people, she gets furious. Afterwards, Duke Eric has another story to share with the king. The academy examiner came here to meet him. He is cheerful, saying that the examiner looked surprised at how an ordinary child destroyed the examination center. Moreover, he has never seen a beginner use his swordsman skill, ideally with a top-level warrior. They are concerned about revealing the exam's results, otherwise they would have declared it up until now. After hearing the story, Duke laughed so hard that it confused the examiner. Duke admits that he knows that Master Cain must have done all this. He is joyful that when Prime Minister Magna receives the repair bill from the Academy, what will be his reaction? Prime Minister Magna's reaction is as expected as he is furious. Cain apologizes to both of them while King warns him never again to try to be extra smart. King asks Cain to leave and reminds him that the result announcement is today. Therefore, he must reach the Academy in time. In the Royal Academy, Cain tries to read his name to determine whether he passed the exam. Suddenly, Silk stands behind him and shares the happy news that Cain has topped the list for performing exceptionally well in the exam. She and Telest have achieved third and second positions. He feels annoyed when Silk reveals that she does not like how he took the south entrance. Going away, she warns Cain to appear in the entrance ceremony or get ready to be punished. Anger grows in Cain as he does not like how she acts bossy with him. Cain decides to attend the ceremony and meets Riani at the entryway. She is guiding students about which path they should take. Suddenly, she turns her head and watches Cain. In a fit of enormous excitement, she hugs him and shares that she is so proud of him for being a top scorer in the test. Riani wishes him good luck with his speech at the entrance exam. He gets nervous when Riani shares that every topper in the entrance exam gives a speech at the ceremony. This year, Cain will be that one student. Soon after that, Cain returns home to get dressed. While he does not know that Sylvia is eagerly awaiting his return as she wants to know about the exam result. Sylvia gets overexcited as Cain enters and breaks the happy news that he is the top scorer in the written and practical exam. She trusts in his master Cain and immediately runs towards the kitchen to make food for 100 people to celebrate. Cain does not like how Sylvia wants him to keep eating all day, but he does not mind today because overeating is allowed at happy moments. Cain reaches the ceremony dressed in a beautiful jacket and observes both entrances to the academy. Upon entering there, he watched that his parents were already sitting, and they waved their hands from the lobby as Cain entered. Silk and Telestia meet him in the hall, and they love how he looks today in Academy's uniform. Cain takes the seat and sits between Silk and Teles. The boys sitting behind talk to each other, guessing who is the boy sitting with King's daughters, while girls appreciate that Cain is quite charming. At last, the ceremony begins and a teacher comes to the stage. He announces that Cain is the top scorer in the exam, so he will address the students. Cain stands in front of the students behind a desk. He explains how he did not know the exact way to the exam center on the first day. He later learned that one is for commoners, while he does not believe in dividing people into separate communities. Therefore, he will look forward to making friends regardless of their nobility. After finishing his speech, two fellow announcers share that King is sitting between them and wants to address students. He grabs Cain's fist and warns teachers that he is hard to control for the teacher. Therefore, he wants them to use their skills to control Cain. Cain feels embarrassed and senses that the king is warning him, and he shares thoughts with Silk and Teles, but they don't think so and begin choosing their courses from the list. The teacher wants them to make sure that everyone selects the subject wisely. Cain naturally wants to take adventure, while Silk insists on choosing the subject from nobility. He selects the one that has both nobility and adventure. Silk promised to arrange a domain for him, and they came out. As he exits the room, he watches an old friend standing in the corridor. She is Parma and is surrounded by some noble boys. They are forcing her to leave the academy because a commoner like her must not come here. Just then, Cain appears and restricts them from making fun of her. The boys do not listen and become more stubborn that he will destroy Parma and her family even if he stops them now. Hearing this, Silk and Teles ask them who will destroy the girl. Watching the royal family's Princess Silk and Teles, they become so afraid. Moreover, she warns that a royal family member should bring comfort and peace to regular folks. While they are creating problems now, therefore, they are the ones who must be punished. All the boys want to ask forgiveness from the Silk and Teles. They make them apologize, Parma instead, which they do. Perma talks to Kane afterwards, who is so happy that she will be in the same class as he is. Noticing that Kane is quite frank with Perma, both Silk and Tellez wants him to be on his knees while they would talk a little with the new girl. Watching no other way, he sits on his knees as she says it so strictly. After Kane sits on his knees, they call Perma to come with them to have a little conversation. They start giggling in the corner while Kane is surprised they must be cooking something against him. At the same time, Kane heard a strange voice but could not see his face. The male voice orders him to stand up, as his knees must be tired, and walk towards the library. This is where he would meet him. As Kane opens the door of the library, he sees another house in it. Suddenly he disappears in a flash and reappears in a room where a man sits with his back towards Kane. He could not judge who he was. The most suspicious thing is that the man is making coffee, which is not an item in this world. The man turns around and has a smile on his face. With a polite tone, he says that Kane is actually Shayna, and he knows it well. He takes a cup of coffee and enjoys it a lot, because that's the one thing he missed in this world, and he drank it after 9 years. Watch this left video and subscribe to Annie Summary for more anime recaps.